Good evening. Today is Monday, October 24th, 2022. Today is a regular board meeting. This is an in-person meeting with public participation. This will be streamed on our YouTube live channel. The link is posted on our district website. Roll call.
Bergeron, Terrell,
Present.
Kennard,
Excused.
Evans,
Present.
Piles present, German, Wester,
Present.
we have quorum. Thank you.
6:22. Wait, no,
6:09.
6:09. My
Look at
watch
me
is fast.
nodding.
I'm sorry.
That's according to my phone.
So, 6:09.
Who stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have the acceptance of the agenda. I move that the Board of Education accept the meeting agenda as amended to add SRO safety grant as well as third-party contract for our special education services. We'll add that under the interim superintendent report.
And special ed, I'm sorry.
Third party for special education
Support.
services. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Piles, yes. Evans,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
Bergeron,
Yes.
Wester,
Yes.
motion carries.
Do we have any public comment?
We do. Mickey Robinson,
Good evening, members of the board.
Good evening.
Good evening, community. I'm up here regarding, I know it was a statement that was made in the last board meeting, and I have to say something on this because it left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths as far as the middle school. It was an incident that happened on 9/27. The incident happened with a fight that occurred, and the question was where the ambassador was at. Well, we had 3 different incidents happening at one time. We de-escalated two of the issues. The last issue was the fight, which the fight de-escalated within approximately 30 seconds. By the time we got there, the fight was already over with. The staff member in question walked in the middle of the crowd, not the fight. I just want to clear that up. But as far as the ambassadors, we are very invested in our students. So when things arise, I have to say something about it. That's pretty much about it. Also, we have started the process with the hiring process of ambassadors for the middle school. That process has got started. Thank you again, board.
Thank you.
Rita Hampton,
Good afternoon.
Good
I
afternoon.
want to thank President Ursula Wester for being transparent. It was a breath of fresh air coming through my window. I read the website. Thank you very much for that information, and it was truthful. My grandmother used to say, like hang around with like. If if you tell lies, you hang around with people who lie also. So I counted. I was thinking about, I told Mr. Bergeron, I'm thinking about you when you said last board meeting. I'm not going to stand up here and say that we started. We didn't start this mess, making the district in the situation it is in. We didn't start this. I counted 373 lies being told, not by them, by the others. Thank you.
Do we have any other comments?
Yes, I just have to stop the timer. Hanson.
Good evening. Am I allowed to ask for more time if I run out? Like the last couple meetings, you said we could have a couple extra minutes?
What's that, 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Up to 4?
I probably won't be as long-winded as I normally am, but
Yes,
I
an
just want to clear it.
additional minute, yes.
All right, good evening. I'm Mr. Hanson. This is my 24th year here at Romulus High School. I'm the Secretary Treasurer of the REA. I would like to, tonight I would like to talk to you about taking steps together to right the wrongs that have been ongoing this school year and past school year. Since the sham investigation against our superintendent, we have gone completely backwards. Most noted, under the Edmondson administration, labor had a seat at the table. He looked at us as a team, members, and asked for input. Under the emergency manager, we absolutely had no contact with him. We were not part of the problem solving. As a matter of fact, everything was done in their power to make sure we were never involved. Since June, over 33 teaching positions and social work positions have resigned. Under the Edmondson administration, we had no grievances. I would like, the REA contract was respected and followed. Under the current leadership, I would include this interim HR director. We've had grievances that aren't even responded to, and we are currently working through a ULP. Sarah and I have never experienced a ULP. As far as I know, the history of our REA, we've never had to file a ULP. Under the Edmondson administration, we had trusted him as a leader and in his cabinet. When he came on, Sarah and I had 18 issues that we needed to resolve that had piled up from previous interims. Within 2 months, they were all resolved. Under the emergency manager, no one trusted in him, no one had trust in him, or the people he hired. We continue to debate their salaries, even today. Dr. Edmondson never would have asked district lawyers to do sham investigations against employees. Unlike the emergency manager, he would not have had students questioned by lawyers without parents knowing it was happening. Under the Edmondson administration, we were making true community connections. If he was allowed to stay the course, our enrollment would have climbed. I'm sure of it. Some of you on board here were available for the golf outing. That was a true community connection. Our Eagle's Nest would have been open. We would have had health occupation students. Right now, those classrooms stand empty, and there's no teachers for them. Meanwhile, we've got a multi-million-dollar contract on a program that's, at best, a good after-school program. Millions of dollars was spent on that.
Thank you, Mr.
I'll cut to the end. We need to right these wrongs. Debbie, I'm asking you No, I'm begging you. Please bring Dr. Evanson back and let us heal. Let's clean up this mess before a new elected board is brought on. Let's clean up so that Dr. Bloodsaw can return to her curriculum job. Let's clean this up so that all the unnecessary that was brought in with the high salaries can begin to look for their jobs. Debbie, please, let's do this.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson. Do we have any other?
Yes. Kylene Zoltowski.
Good evening. My name's Kylene Zoltowski. I am a 19-year veteran here at Romulus High School and REA representative. So the thing that I wanted to talk to you guys today about is our guided academics program here at the high school. So it's just a fancy name for credit recovery. So we have talked a lot about the fact that not all of our kids are ready to graduate. They don't have the credits that they need and they're deficient. Myself and Dominic Contanzarite have overlooked and we're running the program for the 7th hour the last 2 years. This year, from the get-go, I said, okay, let's get this rolling. Seth was on board for that. We were trying to figure out. So just so everybody knows, 168 students have 7th hour on their schedule. We had to hold off while RISA did their investigation to figure out and do all their audits to figure out who needed what. Once that happened, we needed to notify parents and get started on our seniors because their front and foremost needed to be handled. We did all of that, but we didn't get to send letters out or do any of that till the end of September. Come October 1st, we were finally able to have classes put in Edgenuity for our 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. So they all have a class as of right now. However, we haven't gotten word, and Seth Petty has asked, I have asked, Dominic has asked, when can we start working with kids and making sure they're getting these classes completed and we can monitor and help them? There's no answer if they're going to pay us, so guess who's not going to do the work? I'm not. I'm not working for free. However, I feel terrible about all of it because our kids need this. 100% they need it. So the classes are there, but they're not going to do them without instruction. If they get stuck and they need a test open, I'm the one that has to do it. If they need a retake on a test, I'm the one that has to do it. It's not just there and they get to work on it. They need us, and if we don't have staff, and my understanding is the board office wants each of us to have 60 kids. How is that really going to work? That's a Band-Aid. Can it work? Sure, but it's not going to be successful. If you really want it to work, we mentor smaller groups of kids so that we have one-on-one time with them. We can check in with them and their families, make sure they're making progress. If they want us to just monitor progress, then I can do that with 60 kids, but not really make sure they're getting to the finish line. So this is just another instance where we're paying all these other people additional monies per day, but you can't fork out the money to pay staff members to help kids get to graduation, which apparently is what we're being said we're evaluated on here at the high school. So if that's it, then we need to put all of the things in place to make sure this happens. And if we want to keep talking about graduation rates, we can. But let's be honest. Elementaries are fully staffed for the most part. Middle school and high school are not. And that is why our kids are not doing well. They have to have certified teachers every single day in their classes. We have to figure something out. And if that means opening up our contract and working with the REA to make sure that people are getting paid, that they'll come here, we need to do that.
She's in her extra minute.
So I ask you to think about these things and know that all of us here at the high school are picking up slack. We're doing extra jobs. You know, I'm doing climate and culture. I do it because I want to, trying to get a tardy policy in place. But I spend 3 hours every Monday going through the tardy list and making sure that kids are getting consequences for their actions, so that way we can keep them in classes so they can learn, which is going to build academic achievement. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other?
Yes, Portia Laster.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, and members of the community. Just wanted to say a quick note. Thank you to Ms. Z and Mr. Hanson. I echo everything that you said. Curriculum is important. Our students, we just got to do better. But I was very disheartened at the last board meeting by comments that were made. The gentleman that came up, I'm not going to speak on the ambassador situation because I'm not at the middle school and I didn't have the full facts, but what I can speak on as a vested parent that has a student athlete in the community at the school that has been in study hall, that has been getting his grades checked weekly for him to participate and suit up in basketball and football. I just think that, like the great Warren Buffett says, it takes 20 years to build a reputation, 5 minutes to ruin it. And you know, defamation of character is real. I sat here in a couple of other board meetings and there was some literature that went out with certain members' names and it didn't feel good for that to happen, and we wanted that literature to be taken away. But this has went out on YouTube for people to see. We know parents will take a gist of something and be like, wow, they don't do study hall. I wouldn't want my kid to go there. We got to watch what we say because we're trying to build our community, but we're breaking it down. We have to work together. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all.
Thank you for everyone that came up and spoke. Next on our agenda is request for closed session. Someone like to read that motion, please?
We're going to come in and out of this.
Yes.
Move that the Board of Education go into closed session under the following section of the OMA, Section 8E, pending litigation, to consult with our attorney Delaporte / Delaporte Law and Mike Weaver / Plunkett Cooney regarding trial or settlement strategy in connection with pending litigation, specifically to the matter of Floyd versus RCS. Rationale in accordance with Michigan's OMA, enacted in 1976 as Public Act 267, all closed meetings must be called by a motion at a public meeting of the Board of Education, followed by a roll call vote. Board of Education will convene in closed session under Section 8E of the OMA, pending litigation. The pending litigation / attorney-client closed session scheduled with attorneys Eric Delaporte and Mike Weaver was scheduled for our September 26 and October 10 meetings. However, at both meetings, the motion for closed session failed, so we were unable to go into closed session regarding pending litigation. Budget implications to be determined, if any.
Support.
Roll call vote?
Evetts,
Yes.
Piles, yes. Terrell,
Yes.
Bergeron,
Yes.
Wester,
Yes.
motion carries. Time, 6:27.
6:27. motion to reconvene? Roll call vote.
Wester,
Yes.
Piles, yes. Evans,
Yes.
Terrell. Bergeron.
Yes.
We are back in open session at 6:45 PM. Madam President, I move that the Board of Education enter into a settlement with Ms. Floyd as recommended by the district attorney.
Support.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
I have do you have to have a majority on this? Because I just assumed I'd,
You have to have a majority on everything.
pardon me?
You have to have 4 on
Okay.
every action. To consult with, okay. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Evans,
Yes.
Piles, no. Terrell,
Yes.
Bergeron,
Yes.
Wester,
Yes.
motion carries.
Would someone like to read the motion for our next closed session, please?
Move that the Board of Education go into closed session under the following section of the OMA. Section 8E, pending litigation to consult with our attorney, Robert Schindler of Miller Johnson Attorneys regarding trial or settlement strategy in connection with pending litigation, specifically to the matter of Edmondson versus RCS, which is currently pending before an arbitrator. In accordance with Michigan's OMA, enacted in 1976 as Public Act 267, all closed meetings must be called by a motion at the public meeting of the Board of Education, followed by a roll call vote. The Board of Education will convene in closed session under Section 8E of the OMA, pending litigation. A pending litigation closed session, Edmondson versus RCS, was scheduled for our October 10th meeting with Attorney Robert Schindler. However, we did not go into closed session as this meeting due to a failed motion in which 2/3 vote was required for this closed session. We did not have enough votes.
Support.
Roll call vote.
Evans,
Yes.
Piles, yes. Terrell,
Yes.
Bergeron,
Yes.
Wester,
Yes.
motion carries. We are in closed session at 6:48 PM. Wait, about what? I didn't look at leave. What is it we have?
Motion to reconvene.
Support.
Roll call vote.
Piles, yes. Terrell?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
Bergeron?
Yes.
Wester?
Yes. 8:09.
Back in session, 8:09. So you,
Yes.
Next one.
Next closed session.
Move that the Board of Education go into closed session under the following section of the OMA, Section 8C, Collective Bargaining Strategy / AFSCME Local 64, in accordance with Michigan's OMA enacted in 1976 as Public Act 267. All closed meetings must be called by motion at the public meeting of the Board of Education, followed by a roll call vote. The Board of Education will convene in closed session under Section 8C, Collective Bargaining Strategy.
support.
Roll call vote.
Evans?
Yes.
Piles, yes. Bergeron?
Yes.
Terrell?
Yes.
Wester?
Yes.
In closed session at
8:10
8:10 PM. just gave up my
Motion to reconvene, please.
support.
Roll call vote.
Wester,
Yes.
Piles, yes. Bergeron,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
8:34 PM.
8:34.
Very good.
Our next item on the agenda, it says a presentation about the homecoming finance report, but we all have that in our packet.
I-
Mr. Petty is not here.
I did find a miscalculation.
Okay.
It's only $20, but it is a miscalculation. If he could just update that,
Where'd you see that at?
right here. It should be, the deposited amount should be $1,558.60. And I would love to see one of these forms for prom. We have yet to see any financial report for the prom. President Wester, please and thank you.
No problem.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I have a question regarding this. If we could just get an update at another time. I appreciate that Mr. Petty took time to give us a financial report. My question is one of just general cash handling procedures going forward when there is prom, homecoming, other events. Who collects the money? What is the process for accounting for it? Are they going through the cash handling
I understand.
procedures? Yeah, and then in the front end, what is the district's process or high school's process for thinking ahead and having money in the account? Because I know we ran into that issue with prom last year and almost with homecoming this year, where just so we know what the process is, so we're not getting down to a week before the event and risking it not happening.
Duly noted.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine in nature by the Board of Education and will be acted upon by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items. If any member of the board or any citizen requests discussion of an item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will become the first item of business under the report of the superintendent portion. A, approval of the minutes of the Board of Education for October the 10th, 2022, regular meeting, as well as the closed session. B, approval of the bills for payment as submitted by Business Manager Sarah Khan in the amount of $716,292.69. And C, approval of the personnel actions as submitted by Human Resources Director Dan Scott, the resignation of Julie Claire, teacher at Romulus Elementary School, effective 10/13/22. Move that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Evans,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
Bergeron,
Yes.
Piles no, Wester.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next, we have the report of the interim superintendent. We have a FYI for the RCS Elementary Schools and City of Romulus plow trucks. The snow plow trucks. Mr. Garland, are you gonna do that? In Dr. Bloodsaw's absence?
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
So the city, principally the mayor's office, has reached out to us in an attempt to garner some support from our youngest constituents, our kids, and they would like to name each one of their plow trucks for one of our elementaries. And then whoever logs the most hours of plowing, the most miles, that school district will receive some type of, if I'm understanding this correctly, some type of a surprise, a kind of prize, whoever covers the most miles. So I think it's always wonderful that we reach out, that we have that communication and that relationship with the city. And this will be a fun way for our kids to go, there's the Wick plow, there's the Barth plow, Rommel, Hale Creek.
So our names are the names are just going to be on the trucks. We don't have any interaction with that automobile, correct?
Correct. No, it's not our plow trucks.
Right.
Thank
That's
you.
nice.
Very nice.
Exciting.
Dr. Bloodsaw is out today, so I think I don't think there was another FYI for item B. We're gonna move on. We have an action item. We're gonna be discussing our SRO safety grant. Mr. Dan Scott, please.
The state of Michigan has provided grant opportunities for schools. It's matching grant of 50% based upon what the school is, or the district, I should say, is applying for. And in talking with Mark, the board has to make a decision as to what is the limit that you would like to have him apply for. So as an example, if the salary for our current one is, let's say, $60,000, the state can match it with $30,000. Therefore, why would we not ask for $60,000? Because that way we get two, and we could put one in the middle school and have one at the high school for the price of one. And this is for a 3-year period at this point. That's what the grant is for, okay? So the decision that needs to be made so that Mr. Graham can proceed is what is the limit that the district would like him to try to obtain.
So is that this
Madam
stuff?
Chair.
What is,
No, this is different. Mr. Scott brought that to us because he just found out about it today. That's why it was added on. So that Mr. Graham can apply for the grant, we're gonna have to make a motion. We
So
don't
we
have an
don't
action,
have it.
no,
We
we
don't
don't
have
have
it
an
yet.
action item sheet. Because like his example said, if we're paying for Officer Cofield at 60,000 and the grant is gonna cover half, we can say we want to do 60,000 and we're getting two for the price of that same money that we were paid, the monies that we're paying out. So
okay,
we just have to give Mr. Graham the dollar amount that we want to apply for.
time. Yes.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes.
So, it's my understanding that, there's 25 million that's been allocated for this, and as of Friday, only 6 million had been applied for. And the 50% match also includes total cost, both salary and any benefit costs. So I believe that currently, I don't remember, when we approved Officer Cofield, I think we were in excess of that amount. So whatever his amount is that we pay is probably what we would need to be,
Correct.
yeah. So we
Correct.
would take,
Mr. Scott just gave
yeah.
a rounded
Right.
example, so we would take whatever our SO is currently being
Right.
paid.
so could,
and
yes,
do
could
that.
we just make a motion to apply for 2 SROs, and then that contract could be pulled, and whatever that amount is what we would be, because I think we might have to stipulate how many SROs we want instead of just a dollar amount.
Correct.
So,
could
yeah.
we apply for one additional at this building and 2 at the middle school?
Yeah.
So a total of 3 more?
There is no limit. Kim Root, with the Office of School Safety, said there's no limit on how many SROs a district may apply for, as long as we are matching the
Correct.
50% that they pay. But there's also the school safety grant, which we're going to get, I'm sorry, not a grant, it was in the budget, the state aid budget, of 107 per student. And we could use that money also to help match the salaries. But yes, if we could apply for multiple and just leave that amount up to whatever finance, if they pull that contract. And
So are we saying we want the motion to be a maximum of 4 SROs, or are we saying 3 SROs?
it's only new SROs.
So 3,
So Cofield wouldn't count, so yes, apply for,
3 additional. I mean, if we can get them and we can offset those expenses, why would,
Correct.
if,
We kind of
Yeah, sorry.
discussed that. We were just trying to figure out
Right.
what, we
Right.
just didn't have
So-
the exact dollar
Yes.
amount of what
yeah,
we
so
are paying
I
Officer
think,
Cofield.
I think if we could get 2 additional at the middle school, you know, that would be helpful, and 1 here. This is a big building to walk around and protect.
And you have to remember, Officer Cofield right now is doing the whole district. So
Right.
if
Correct.
somebody needs him at Barth or wherever, but if you have,
So they'll be able to float. We'll have
yes,
more
Right.
if you had
floaters.
4 people, they can cover more.
Thank you for that information, Debbie. But yeah, I would like to see 3 additional. That's my opinion, but.
Would you like to do the motion?
Sure. Move that the board approve Mr. Scott to apply for 3 additional SROs through the program that he just identified.
support.
Any discussion? Roll call vote?
Evans,
Yes.
Piles, yes, Terrell,
Yes.
Bergeron,
Yes.
Wester,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you.
And we have Mr. Scott again. We are talking about our third-party special services.
Okay, we have been attempting since before school began to hire a number of special education personnel to fill occupational therapists, psychologists, and special ed social workers. And we have been successful to a degree. Dr. Meese can talk about that. He's really been going after them, and as soon as somebody applies, he contacts them. We have made offers to three that between the time that we made the offer to them and the time that they got back to us, they accepted jobs elsewhere because they got paid more elsewhere. So I then reached out to the union to see if they would be in agreement to do an MOU, and they did, and that was just done this past week due to some reasons that kind of prolonged it. And unfortunately, those timing and the timing for your agenda and stuff doesn't always work out. So when I got the agreement, that was last Thursday, I wanted to try to get this on the agenda tonight. This is with Sunbelt. I personally did not know Dr. Meese has been working with different third parties trying to find them that can supply things for us. And right now, this one can supply social workers and an occupational therapist. The psychologists are very difficult to find. We lost one through another third party because we had not gotten the agreements and the MOUs and all of that. So that's why I'm kind of rushing this to you. Sunbelt, I didn't know that this was the agency that he had contacted, but when I was working back in the former district that I was employed in, we worked with Sunbelt and they were very good. And in fact, we ended up hiring the person who they had gotten for us as an employee in the district that I was at before. And there is that option here that if you look down there, you will see the different components. And I think that particular one it's under number 7, employment of consultants. And they outline what their contractual amounts are. We can give them a 60-day notice if we end up finding someone, because what we are going to do is the union agreed, due to the fact that most of the people that they send to us as consultants, they want some consistency. So they really don't want to come for 2 months if they know that it's only going to be for 2 months or 3 months. So at this point, we're looking to hire them till the end of the school year, but we will put our postings back up in March in hopes that we can hire somebody before the end of the school year and that we can then do a transition.
Any questions?
How many social workers do you think that we will get to service our students?
And if you read through this contract, you will see they continually look for us as well. And we interview these people. They send them to us, we interview them, but they make sure that they have the credentials and the licensing and everything before they send them to us, just so that you
Okay.
know.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam President,
Good
board
evening.
members, good evening.
Good evening.
Could you please restate your question for me?
So how many social workers do you see that we will be using through this organization?
At this time, we've interviewed one who is eager to come to Romulus. They do have others. I told them that we want to interview them. We want to interview these candidates, but I didn't want to get too far in the process until I was
Correct.
able to secure board approval. But we do have one who is very interested and capable and ready to begin servicing the needs of our students. As you know, we presently have one school social worker within the district who has submitted paperwork for resignation. So again, time is of the essence. We've been in a position this school year where we've had one social worker who's been attempting dutifully to meet the needs of our students, but with testing for special education evaluations and some of the other duties that are of extreme importance, it's been very difficult this school year to provide adequate social work services to the students who need it most. So I'm very excited about the possibility of us being able to secure these third-party providers on a temporary basis, like Mr. Scott said, through the end of the school year to provide continuity for our students. And hopefully we will secure REA positions and we'll have a transitional period in the spring to, again, meet the needs of the students that we serve.
So what is your vision? How many would you like to see come into our district?
I think minimally, we need 4.
4? Okay, and then will they be able to see the general population or only what's on their caseload?
Special education social workers work with students who have IEPs. However, we do have a social work provider who is interested in coming to us as an REA provider, but due to their schedule and some personal matters, they are not able to join until January. So in January, we hope to bring forward a candidate to, or perhaps December, we hope to bring forth a candidate for board approval who will be a traditional REA employee who will work with general education students to meet their social work needs.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, so through this contract, we're hiring social workers and occupational therapists. Is there an hourly rate?
I just want to be clear, so for the occupational therapist, we need 1 provider, and we do have 1 secured. The hourly rate, my understanding is for the social worker, don't quote me, but I believe it's about $90. The same thing holds true for the occupational therapist within $5.
Yeah, and those rates are reasonable. I was just asking for purposes of the contract.
Sure.
Are we paying by the hour, and how many provided hours are we expecting each week or month?
I'd like to talk with Mr. Scott about that, but I would imagine that we would match the REA schedule hour for hour.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Well, thank you for bringing this to us.
Roll call
Thank you
vote.
so much for your consideration.
Thank you, Dr. Meese.
Do we have a motion for
I
it?
need to make a motion.
Move that the Board of Education enter into the client services agreement with Sunbelt as presented to the board.
Support.
Piles, yes. Bergeron,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
Wester.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Report of the Office of Curriculum, we're going to have Dr. Gardner coming up since Dr. Bledsoe's out ill with our FYI on the Michigan Adult Education Reporting System. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So each of you received a copy of this report. It's the one that has the orange on one side and the blue on the other side. And I'm excited to stand here before you and highlight one of our special programs, adult education, and the hardworking staff that we have on our team. So how this came about is that we actually get this report on a monthly basis from Wayne Risa. We're part of Region 10. And one thing you learn about me very fast is I'm very passionate about data. And so if you look on the blue side of the report, where the title says District Participants, Section 107, Performance Rate by Year. Is everyone with me? And I want you to look at the last column. So there should be 2. One was cut off, that was inside of your packet, and I passed out another one that gave you the full overview. Okay. So we're on the blue section, and look at the last column. The last column has the heading of 10, 11, 22. And if you can go all the way down to Romulus Community Schools, you'll see we have 17.92%. This means of our students who are enrolled at the time of this report actually hit that performance rate academically of 17.92%. Now look at that data compared to the other providers in our region. As you see, Romulus outperforms the other providers. And this is something we should celebrate because this means we have more graduates, more students getting their GED, more students earning actually high school credits and doing an awesome job in our program. And again, that's kudos to our team. We have our new coordinator, Wendy Grish, who's here with us tonight. and one of our awesome teachers, Miss Christina, with us as well. But I want to highlight someone who's not here, Miss Maura Clay. This data has to be entered into MERS on a consistent basis. And Moira is known as the queen of mayors across the state of Michigan. Moira is from Romulus Community Schools. And we should celebrate our team, and we have to highlight all of those great things that we're doing in the adult ed program. So I just want to bring that to your attention because they're working tirelessly. We have other teachers. We had Mr. Ryan, Mr. Dom, we talked about earlier as well. We had Mr. Rob, he's no longer with us, but he contributed to this data here that we definitely wanted to highlight. And so that's one piece of data I want to lift up to you. One thing I want to also highlight on the orange section of the document talks about enrollment. So if you look at Romulus, and with the date of October 11th, we're at 173 according to this date. We've already increased that number. We are currently at 218 students. As you see, we ended last year with 301 students. We have a goal that I believe we're going to bypass of 400 students this year. We're already at 218. It's not even November yet. And one thing I think is going to really help our adult ed program is by using what we're using this year, a backwards design model. Each of our teachers in our entire program have a target for each of our metrics, for our enrollment target, our post-test rate, and also our measurable skill gains. That's how we gain funding. We're not like K-12 that gets state funding. No, this is our funding right here. So we had our very first training where we all identify our targets individually, which will be tracked. We also have a data dashboard. So right now, our adult ed program has a data dashboard that is sent to me on a monthly basis so we can track and monitor our data and make adjustments. We can't wait until the end of the school year and try to correct wrongs. We have to correct them along the way and also celebrate and highlight. And so I just want to let you know the great work we're doing in our adult ed program. You'll continue to see great work, and it's impacting our graduates, our adult ed students, and our program as a whole. So I just wanted to share the great news and let you know there's more to come. Thank you.
Any questions?
So I have a question.
Yes.
How are we going to, historically, does the program grow after November or October to this large number? Or how are we going to recruit to get to that 400? Can you give me a little insight to that, please?
Definitely. So we're going to continue to market our program. Consistently, we actually have radio ads that go out and highlight our program and try to promote our program. This year, you'll hear more in the future, but we're looking at potentially opening a GED testing center. Right there, it's going to bring in more students that are coming to our site in partnership with our partner to hear about Romulus Community Schools. We'll have flyers, and as you all know, and I've learned, the least amount of cost for marketing is word of mouth.
Right.
We must make sure our students are talking to one another, and guess what? The students in our program, their parents and their children are in our high schools. They're in our middle schools. They're in our elementaries. So making sure we're connected to our K-12 space is going to also help. And I will share in my background in adult education, I have a track record of increasing enrollment because we track the data, we get out in the community, and we have a team that's going to carry that message on an ongoing basis. So I think that word of mouth, the marketing we already have in place with radio stations, working with our partners to spread the word as well, are some of the key strategies we're going to use to increase that enrollment and bypass our target of 400.
So you're saying the radio, you're saying other things I'm not sure when our contract with Brad ends, Brad Werfel, but has he extended those radio contracts and that type of communication?
Well, I do know it is in our budget for this school year. I have to talk with Brad to see. I don't have that answer about Brad's connection to it, but I do know that we got a budget that was approved that includes those radio ads.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Question.
Secretary.
Yes, what ages is in the, for our adult ed program?
Yes, so we start at age 18 for our adult ed program.
So of the current 218, what is approximately the breakdown of those that are under 22 years of age, where we get full FTE, versus those above 22?
That is a good question. I have to look in MERS to actually get that data. I don't have that right at the top of my head. Yes, but I can definitely get that back to you.
In this program, are the students in adult ed doing credit recovery programs, or is this strictly GED prep and passing GED?
So for our adult ed program, we have GED prep and also high school completion as well as also an option.
And then my last question is, when we look at these numbers, the percentages that you highlighted in the blue, and we see where Romulus had historically been performing consistently for 2020, 21, and 22, and then for the 2022, the drop, not knowing anything about this, what accounts for that?
Yes, so one thing, and this is something I've studied for the number of years, we are seeing still impact of COVID, the pandemic. And so we see a lot of programs that had like students who are coming in person, getting that support. And when COVID hit, you know, we had the apprehension. So we didn't have the in-person, the support that was actually happening on a consistent basis. And so that drop actually you see it happened in multiple providers. And so we're actually starting to get more students to come in person. I know our GD teacher, he's starting to have some students that come in person, getting more comfortable. And so we're hoping that we actually bypass the target. The target for the region is 51%. So you see, we're not that far from the target, but we also want to meet and bypass the target as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you, Dr. Gardner.
Thank you.
Now we have our report of the Manager of Operations and Facilities, Mr. Bill Garland. So our first item is the cost analysis for the change orders from Bid Pack 5.
Good evening, Board President Wester and Board, once again. So you asked for a cost analysis on the additional COs or the change orders. To date, there have been $245,443.93 in change orders. Most of this was explained as it was part of the upgrades that we needed to do and how we had to spread out the work over the fall season and the spring season because of the Wayne County Drain Commission not getting us our permit. So at this present time, our monies that we've had returned in change orders and the money that is in contingency will more than cover this. In fact, they still are anticipating we will get money back at the end of the project. And we do have a couple little other things that they're checking in, but most of the big questions, such as the utilities and moving the utilities, which you guys approved, the lights and things like that are done. And the secondary bid pack, part of the bid pack, the parent drop-off in the back of WIC shouldn't have those issues because we don't have a lot of utilities out in the field.
Any questions? Thank you for that FYI.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
And then we have the FYI update for some photos that I had given to Mr. Garland that we had received a couple weeks ago from one of our parents during public comment.
Well, we absolutely appreciate when our parents take an interest in our students, and oftentimes they do find things that are in disarray, and that simply is because of the area that it's in. Those pictures were basically found in our band area, but not in our band room. In the secondary entrance to the band room, the storage closets to the band room, and then our choir room, which is simply utilized as a practice room. Now, in my answers to those questions, which I sent to you, it explains what they thought to be black mold, which is just, and don't laugh at the word, but it's just simply an effect. It's called the Kawanda effect, and it's where air comes in from a diffuser, a duct diffuser, or a vent, and travels along a parallel surface. It electrically charges that area, and so around those diffusers, those metal, the ions collect dust and moisture and oils. And so it begins to look that way. Now, obviously, that needs to be cleaned, that area, but it was in a storage room, so there was a lot of things in a way, and we're going to work on that. We actually had just done this in our kitchen, because we have to do around those vents pretty regular here at the high school. So we are going to have a team take a look at that. But the other secondary one that was mentioned in those pictures, we need to think about building out, putting in a drop ceiling, because that ceiling is at the end of its life and it's delaminating, and so we need to either encapsulate it by a surfactant that will hold it in place, or we need to put a drop ceiling in, which that would be more cost effective and make more sense and actually make the area look nice. And along with that, we can put in new lights.
Okay.
And then I don't think, oh, in that tile there, we do need to replace that, and I am going to be coming to you. Now that tile, just to be straightforward and transparent, is asbestos tile on the floor. It's those 8x8 asbestos tiles. They are not dangerous unless they are ground or drilled, and that's not happening. But they are coming up, they're old, and we do need to get them removed. But you still have to have someone who has a license to do that. And then we would come in there, and just as we did in the band room, we put new carpet. We could either retile that area with vinyl tile, LVT, or we could do carpet, and we will be coming to you for that as well.
Any questions?
Will that be a change in sinking fund, or how will that cost be incorporated?
Well, principally, we would want to always, if we can, let it go to the sinking fund, but it can be general fund. And I am looking in to see what we can do with ESSERS because of the Clean Air Act. Like, we may be able to put that ceiling in and redirect those diffusers like we're planning to do in the middle school through ESSERS.
Okay.
So I want to meet with our Mark Graham and Shelby's team and find out if we could put that in as part of the grant. We'll see.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Garland, for getting back and reviewing those for me. Thank you. And then we have item C, it's your night lock system purchase.
Yes, we are poised and ready. We got permission from the state fire department. The inspector finally got back to me that we can indeed order the night lock, and it's right on time because we have to have it in within the next week or so. And I just would like to show you what we're going to do. We're going to install these in every classroom, every office, and it's a security device. And I'll tell you how it works, but I won't tell you how to get out of it because you can't know that.
Right.
So I'm going to explain it, but just take a look. There's a box that'll be on the door. If there was a threat, the teacher will take it off, put it in, and it clears into the floor. So if you guys want to pass that around and look at it.
So not to be a negative Nilly, but a great majority of our doors swing out.
It's perfect for that because
Okay.
you can't pull the door open. The police have trouble getting into that
Okay.
when it's
So
utilized.
that goes on the floor.
Nope, goes on the door.
Yeah, will you show us? Like,
Yep.
This is the door.
Okay, so this is the door. I'm the door.
Okay.
I'm the door. And the teacher would come during an event, slip it into here, it goes down into the floor,
Okay.
and
into
you
the floor.
cannot
Oh,
open
all
the
right,
door.
Now I see where
or-
it's at.
Now it makes sense.
Or,
Now it makes sense. Okay.
Right,
I didn't know where I didn't know where it
Right.
went.
yes,
Okay.
and this is being utilized in multiple school districts, not just in Michigan, but all over the country. And the beautiful thing is, we actually got a really good price on it. We actually beat a consortium bid. So we're gonna have a company that we would work with to come in and install them for us.
And you said they have to be you have to purchase them by a certain date, or they have to be installed by a certain
No,
date?
purchased, all I have to do is get the PO to Mark Graham, once again, our guy for grants. And then we'll schedule the time for them to come in and install them. And this is all being funded through that grant, that grant that we
Safety.
got from the state troopers.
Okay.
So we'll not hit our general fund.
It's wonderful. Thank you.
Does anyone have any
Oh,
questions?
the mic?
Oh, the mic?
Oh.
Dan wants the mic.
If the board would, Dr. Gardner has the answer to Debbie for your questions, if you'd like to hear. There was the one about ages or number of students or something in the programs.
sure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Billy. That's really, I'm sure the teachers are going to be ecstatic to know that the buildings are becoming safer as we move toward these extra steps.
Dr. Gardner, before you come forward, can we finish with our motion and stuff first before we go back and forth? Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Want me to do it?
Did anyone else have any questions for Mr. Garland? Yep, we need to make a motion, please.
Move that the Board of Education approve the Taylor Brothers Door Lock/Night Lock quote number 3463 for the purchase and install of night lock systems for all buildings at a cost of $37,661.71. We are seeking an approval to purchase/install the night lock system for all buildings as part of the Competitive School Safety Program, CSSGP, which was awarded and the board approved. We are seeking approval to move forward with the purchase and installation. The following bids were received: $37,661.71 from Taylor Brothers and $41,088.52 from Safeware Quotation. The lesser amount bid fills our due diligence per the RCS finance team. The budget implication is grant, competitive school safety program, and we received both quotes.
Support.
Any discussion?
I have one question. Are these going on all the doors in all the buildings, or?
They will not be on exterior doors, like out of the building, but on every classroom, every office, yes.
Thank you.
Roll call vote, please.
Evitz?
Yes.
Piles, yes. Terrell?
Yes.
Bergeron?
Yes.
Wester?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Board, thank you so much, and I'd like to give a real shout out to Ms. Gutzman. She makes me sound so much smarter than I am. The way she wrote that out, it was not the way I gave it. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you, Paul.
Team effort, right?
Thank you, Mr. Garland. Okay, thank you, Dr. Gardner. Thank you so much for waiting.
Stated, very passionate about data, and if I have an answer, I want to make sure I get that to you. Before I go over the data, I did have two more teachers I want to lift up. We have Ms. Kim and Dr. Harrison are also our teachers for adult ed. The question I'm going to answer, it was a question about the various subgroups, specifically around age. This is based on 189 students. We still have 29 students that need to be into mirrors. So for our age range of 16 to 18, we have 1 student. Age range of 19 to 24, we have 45 students. The age range of 25 to 44, we have 118 students. The age range of 45 to 54, we have 21 students. The age range of 55 to 59, we have 3 students. And the age range of 60 plus, we have 1 student. So we have a nice range, but our bulk is the age range of 25 to 44. We also have 145 female students and 44 male students in our program currently.
Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Gardner. And,
You're
and,
welcome.
and that's a great program to grow that benefits our families, our community. You had the 19 to 24 age range. Does it say in there, because my question was more geared toward the full FTEs, which are for ages under 22. In that age group 19 to 24, does it say how many of those are 22 and under or full FTEs? And if not, that's fine. I was just wondering how many FTEs are this program is currently bringing in?
It does not break that down
Okay,
in mayors, but I can
thank you.
definitely find out for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Dr. Gardner. Report of the subcommittees.
Regarding Merriman, I heard from the realtor. They are anxious to get going. I contacted the attorney who was out of town. He was due back in today. I will reach out to him tomorrow to find out when these contracts will be finalized and signed, because there is a due diligence time and also a requirement for them to rezone. And we need to make sure that hopefully they can work with the city and get the rezoning done in a timely fashion.
Thank you.
Madam President, I did attend the Finance Committee meeting this past Wednesday, and it was shared that we are right on target for our audit. Everything is cleaned up, and looking forward to that.
Awesome.
Speaking
Yeah,
to the
use
mic.
it,
I'm
Mike.
sorry.
We want that to go over
Can
the
you repeat
airwaves.
that again, please?
On target for our audit. Everything is cleaned up, and it's looking good.
Great.
Thank
That's
you.
wonderful.
Any other reports?
You don't have anything, right?
Do we have an update on the cell tower, the status of the cell tower for the property?
Let me read my emails. I know there was an email and I can't remember what it said. I apologize, but there was communication. Pete, do you remember if anything went on for the cell tower? I can't remember what it's, the cell tower that's wanted to be put at Barth. I will review that and I'll send out an email.
Thank you.
I hadn't heard. I just knew that there was some concern about it going, pole, telephone pole with, I think it was through Verizon on the back part of our property and having people walk through there.
Yeah, I know that they had said that they would put a fence around it.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be a secure fence. They said they were going to make their own driveway to it.
Yeah.
Our major concern when this was discussed was would they be accessing it while the students are at recess or
Right.
what have you? And they were going to make the best effort not to do that, so.
So my question was more regarding the leasing of it. Has that started? Has the
No,
district?
not yet.
Okay,
That's
we're
still in
waiting
the
to work
works.
all this out.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Trustee Evans and Vice President Terrell on those updates. Good job on our audit, it's good news to hear.
Kudos to Shelby and her
It is
group.
good news to hear that we are on track with our audit. It has been some time.
Mhm.
So it's very
Yes.
good news, I really appreciate the hard work that's being done over there. Report of the board president. I really don't have a whole lot. Superintendent search. We had our presentation probably about a month ago now. So we do need to get our calendars right to get a study session going. So I'll be sending out an email to get availability because we need to start working on that. I know we had last week we had MASB up in Traverse City. Very, very informative, very informative. If you have not been to any classes, you need to go to the classes. It's good for refreshers. A lot of good information on board governance and us staying in our lanes and knowing who our employee is, and just move so we can move our district forward. I'm not going to dwell on all that, but it was very good to be able to talk with colleagues from around the state and hear that we're not the only ones that are going through things. You know, we go through things in different ways, different times, but we all have something that we can learn from each other. Other than that, board comments.
I have nothing.
I do.
You should.
Madam Chair, the guided academics that came up tonight, if you could just get us an update on that, please. I know that we've talked about supporting our students, increasing our graduation rates. We know that that's a problem. We also, have had a heavy emphasis on our curriculum. So specifically, the 168 students that are at risk that have been identified, if we could just get an update on what supports they're being given, if we heard tonight that they need instruction, but that hasn't been assigned.
Duly noted.
So if we can get that. My other question is, just lost it. Those that are at risk, if any of our title money for at-risk can be used for that. I know that that amount went up by approximately $1,000 per student this year. I did want to thank Shelby and her team for all of the work on the audit. To have that finished by November 1st is huge. Additionally, I know we've had other questions, one being the band budget, and Shelby was able to find that there actually was approximately $22,000 that had been allocated for equipment, so that is a huge thing. I want to give a shout out to Romulus High School freshman and JV football player X. For those of us who saw on Facebook, X wanted to play football this year. His mom was concerned about grades and behavior, and Mr. Searcy and his staff have been doing weekly updates with him and monitoring his grades, and he was able to dress. But shout out to our coaching staff who mentors our students and does more than just on the field training with them, but focuses on their academics. Thank you for that, and that is all that I have.
Mr. Bergeron,
Yes.
do you have anything? Motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
9:24.
I can't find my agenda.